Bryce Harper or Manny Machado? Can the Phillies land one of them? Can they land both of them? Are they even going to land any of them? We're going to find out soon enough. Tony Del Grasso is here, a.k.a. Tony D. I am Adrian Fedque. It's a Philly show on a Friday afternoon.
How about it? On a lovely November day. It feels like it's July, actually, out here, but I'm not complaining. I'm excited. This is a huge. It's a huge with a Y off season. It's huge for the Phillies.
We've been waiting for this offseason for like 4 years.
True. And honestly, I truly believe John Middleton and Clentak and McPhail and all of those guys have been looking forward and have had this offseason circled on their calendars for a few years, and I truly do believe that.
Yeah. I'm not sure how much I trust Matt Clentak, but we'll see. So the question right away I'm going to ask you, Manny Machado or Bryce Harper, which one would you rather have?
I'll take them both with open arms. I don't know. It's not very big, but I'll all right. So I've wanted Harper since I've heard about Bryce Harper, but I've always been a Harper guy. I think he's, depending on what they do, he's probably a slightly better fit. I think he's a slightly better player, although you're splitting hairs, depending on where Machado plays. If he plays shortstop, he's below average shortstop. If he plays third base, he's a Gold Glove caliber third baseman. The thing is, and like I said to you off air, it's kind of like the rest of the world just realized this past postseason that Manny Machado's kind of an asshole. Oh my God!
Wow! It's like people just realized this, huh?
Oh my God! Opposing teams don't like him, and oh my God, he doesn't run the ball out all the time, and oh my God, I don't fucking care, man. He's gonna hit 40 bombs a year, and he's gonna give you great defense. He's gonna fucking 950 OPS. I'll take him. I don't give a shit. There's a lot of Hall of Fame players out there. Most Hall of Fame players there are fucking assholes. Okay, it's kind of yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, absolutely. We want these guys to be Boy Scouts. We want these guys to be, these great guys we want to go out and have a beer with. And unfortunately, that's just not the way all these guys are. I just kind of want to get off my chest that a couple years from now, if you're one of the people who don't want Machado because you realize he's an asshole and he said he's not going to hustle, 3 years from now, or let me say 10 years from now, when he has 2 rings with his new team, are you going to be saying the same thing? Oh, man. Well, at least I didn't have to see him not run out of ball a couple times over a course of a 182-game season. Like, would you? Let me ask you this: would you rather finish the season 18-34, or would you rather have Manny Machado on your team?
I'd rather have Manny Machado on my team.
Exactly. All right.
Dude, Bryce Harper is the fit. Like you think of the way he plays, the way he hustles. Philadelphia would fall in love with him. I think he's more of a fit than Machado.
Yeah, I mean, positionally wise, and just, imagine Hoskins and Harper back to back, that lefty righty. You have 2 guys who are base close to 40% of the time, 2 guys who are going to consistently hit 30, 40 home runs. Those 2 guys in the middle of the lineup, say those 2 guys are, 2 and 3 hole hitters, or maybe even split them up. I don't know. But bottom line is, it makes your offense dramatically better. If Phillies were to get Harper and Machado, Hoskins, and I don't really care what you have around him, that's all automatically a really, really, really good lineup. Even if you put league average players around those 3.
Yeah.
So, bottom line, I've been saying for a while, I think Harper is going to get closer to $500 million when it all is said and done. Now, that could be stretched over the. I mean, he might sign a 14-year deal. Okay, because don't forget,
sorry about that.
Both these guys are only slightly older than Hoskins. Just to put it in perspective, even though they've been in the league for 6 years, that's how. I mean, these guys are the definitions of generational type talents. I know we throw it out there, especially with the Sixers a lot with Simmons and Embiid, but Machado and Harper, 26-year-old guys like this don't reach free agency very often.
Yeah, you're spot on there. And I've got some odds as to how Is this something that could actually happen? So the Phillies started off with the third best odds to land the highly priced free agent Bryce Harper, but now, according to Bovada, the Phillies are number one, even money to land Bryce Harper. Cubs plus 300, Nationals plus 400, Giants plus 750. The reports I've read, it sounds like it's down to three teams: Phillies, Nationals, Giants for Harper. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, I think. Let me put it this way: if I had to put a gun to my head today, I would say it's going to come down to the Phillies and the Giants. A few months ago, I would have said it was going to come down to the Phillies and the Dodgers. But there's something about the Cubs right now, or I'm sorry, there's something about the Giants right now. I think the Giants, at least they should, rebuild, and rebuilding around a 26-year-old Bryce Harper probably wouldn't be the stupidest thing in the world. They have a ton of money. They have a big market. It seems pretty obvious that Harper prefers to go on the East Coast. I mean, most guys absolutely love the Bay Area. So they're definitely a contender out there. Dodgers, I think the Dodgers are going to want to try to act like they're frugal and don't have money. But in reality, they can afford them if they want to, but they also are probably going to re-sign Kershaw, and they have some other guys coming up. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Dodgers do sit out on both Harper and Machado.
I've got a tweet from Joe Giglio. I'm curious to get your thoughts on it. Cubs have limited payroll flexibility, quote unquote. Yankees, quote unquote, won't pursue Harper and, quote unquote, lukewarm on Machado. Red Sox over luxury tax, already have World Series team. Everything is lined up for the Phillies. It's a failure if they don't get one of Harper Machado this winter.
All right, so we'll start with the Cubs first. Basically, the bottom line with the teams you just mentioned is obviously what Julio said is true. It's not inaccurate, but at the same time, if those teams and those ownership groups truly want a Harper Machado, they'll figure out a way to get him. The luxury tax is not a huge obstacle for teams like that. But with that said, it would make sense why those wouldn't go after Harper, because the Cubs have a ton of young players that in the next few years are going to be looking at big contracts.
Yes.
With Bryant, Rizzo. Actually, I think Rizzo has a deal already. But Bryant, Javi Baez, Schwarber, they have a bunch of guys who are going to be getting big money soon. And with the Red Sox, I don't want to say you can make an argument you don't have a spot for him, because you always find a spot for Bryce Harper. But if you watch the World Series, I mean, you look at those three outfielders they have. I mean, Benintendi and Betts are both absolutely incredible offensively and defensively. And Jackie Bradley Jr. had one of the best. I mean, he was, MVP. So you could make the argument, just plug Harper in at DH. And also, I know, Jackie Bradley Jr. really wasn't exactly even an everyday player for them this year. So it's a possibility. But they did just spend a ton of money last year on JD Martinez, too, so that's a factor. Did you want to get into the Yankees yet, or hold off on that?
Well, the next thing I wanted to get into is Matt Klentak's perception matters comment regarding Manny Machado. Well, what the hell is that all about?
Yeah. So he came on WIP Tuesday, it was, I believe, and they asked him about if anybody doesn't know, Machado came out. I think it was literally the day before Game 1 of the World Series, if I'm not correct. And he basically said, "I'm not Johnny Hustle. I'm never gonna be." Blah 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 blah, which raised a lot of eyebrows from fans and teams for a guy who is about to be asking for hundreds of millions of dollars this offseason. On one hand, the guy's being honest. On the other hand, I think what scares me even more about the fact that he said that is the fact that he said it, because a lot of guys aren't Johnny Hustle. A lot of guys don't hustle, run down to first base, but he had the balls to come out and
admit it
and say, yeah, I'm not going to fucking run down the first baseline. I'm still going to hit 35 bombs, but, so it's worrisome. But bottom line, I think it's kind of a way of Klentak saying it leaves them an out if they don't get him, because, hey, we didn't want that guy. He's not a hustler. But on the other hand, it's a way of possibly although unlikely, maybe lowering his price tag just a bit.
That's a great point. The part of if we don't land him, we got an excuse. It's
Right.
a great point. Because it seems like the Phillies, they've been using nothing but excuses the last couple months, and it's starting to piss me the fuck off.
Right, and it wasn't Clentak who started with the excuses. It was McPhail a few weeks ago.
Yes.
At his exit interview, or his season exit interview.
Just despicable. Everything about the Phillies the last couple months, disgusting.
I did not like. There's a handful of things he said in the interview I did not like, but that's a whole different can of worms.
Yeah. Okay. What did you want to get into next? I'm sorry. What was it?
Oh, just the Yankees whenever guys like Harper Machado reach.
Yeah. And then obviously they got the injury to Didi Gregorius. So that's something that they might do with Machado. Go get him.
Yeah, I think the Yankees are going to be interested in Machado, especially because, like you said, the injury to Didi. The Harper to New York would obviously be tough because of Stanton, Judge. But again, like I said, you could end up putting one of those guys at DH. In that lineup, both the Red Sox and the Yankees just have unbelievable lineups that are only going to get better. So the Yankees are definitely going to be in it. I don't know. Do you want me to make predictions of where?
Go ahead. Yeah. Do you think?
So, what is it? November 2nd. I will say, if I had to make a pick, I'll say Machado ends up with the Yankees, and I'll say Harper ends up with the Phillies.
That's kind of what I'm thinking right now. A couple months ago, I remember telling you, I was like, man, I don't think they're going to get anybody. And I don't think they're going to get Harper or Machado. But now, maybe my bias is starting to kick in. I don't know, but maybe I'm starting to get hopeful. But I do think Harper is definitely a legitimate possibility, just from everything I'm reading, everything I'm researching. It's coming down to 3 teams, and he prefers the East Coast. I think he would pick the Phillies over the Giants. So there you go.
I'll say this. I think if they don't land Harper, I think Harper goes to San Francisco, and then I think in that case they would get Machado.
Yeah. And the thing about this is I don't think they would get Harper if only Harper was available. But the fact that both of them are available, I think it makes it easier to land one of them.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's definitely a good point. And I also there's always some random dark horse team out there.
Yeah. Maybe it's going to be like the Cardinals or something. I don't know.
From a mid-market that you don't expect. So that's always a possibility too. From a team that nobody's even considering right now. I mean, look at when Barry Bonds was a free agent 2 decades ago. Even though his godfather and dad played for the Giants, nobody thought he was going to San Francisco. I mean, he shocked the world when he signed with the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
So, even though San Francisco is a big market, I think maybe Harper kind of wants to do that again, and say, hey, I'm the next Barry Bonds, because he kind of is the next Barry Bonds, frankly.
Yeah.
Although, if I'm Harper, that's one of the worst places to hit in all baseball. So that's also another factor. It's also another reason Bonds was. If Bonds had played in most other places, he'd have an extra 75 home runs.
Especially if he was playing at the bank, man. That bandbox for real.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's kind of get into the rest of the offseason here. And first thing I want to get into a discussion of the Milwaukee Brewers, and because a lot of people, in Philadelphia, they don't like the analytics. They don't like a lot of the shit that Gabe Kapler did. So if you're looking at the blueprint of where the Phillies want to be, look at Milwaukee. That's what the Phillies want to be. The bullpen pieces that they have. Now, the difference between Milwaukee and the Phillies, obviously, the Phillies, they just didn't have the ammunition in the bullpen to be able to do what Gabe Kapler wanted to do. But obviously in Milwaukee, Craig Counsell had all those arms at his disposal, and he was able to work magic with them, and they went all the way to the NLCS, almost got to the World Series.
Yeah. This is modern baseball. There's no turning back. I think, did you see the Chase Utley quotes from, I want to say it was 2 weeks ago? Someone from Philly interviewed him.
Yeah.
And to me, I wanted to just plaster this and show it in front of every Philadelphia fan who hates these analytics. Chase Utley said, the quote. So he said,
You texted it to me. Let me see if I can find it. Try and think of it.
That analytics it's just an advanced scouting report. It's like having Chooch to the nth degree.
Actually, you tweeted it to me. That's what it was.
Yeah. Go ahead, read it off.
Yeah. I gotta find it.
Oh, and the third one was if you go back to the old way, you're gonna lose. There's pretty much like three main quotes that just really stuck out, and this is from old school dirt baller Chase Utley.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, Chase Utley. Well, I know for a fact Chase Utley was one of the guys who used analytics to his advantage. Watched scouting reports, and blah 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 blah, did all that kind of stuff. So if Chase Utley is saying it, hopefully it'll let some more Philadelphians realize, hey, this is how you win games. So, the Ruben Amaro style of I don't care if you walk. He couldn't even get an interview with the Mets.
Chase Utley. I think there are a lot of benefits to analytics. So I'm going to click on this article here.
Yeah, it's a short article. You could, it's.
Okay. The Dodgers have really taken analytics to the next level, he said to Todd Zielecki earlier this postseason. I think there are a lot of benefits to it. I think, damn it, these damn commercials, man. I think there are a lot of benefits to it. I think the most important thing, though, from an organizational standpoint, is actually having the players buy into the fact that it's helpful. I think at times it might be the hardest part. If you have a completely buy-in by the players, I think on a day-to-day basis, there's a lot of advantages to using it. So there you go. There's the quote from Chase Utley.
Yeah, he gets into it more when he talks about Chooch, and he talks about how if you don't use it, you're going to lose. I do think one of the things he mentioned there we haven't talked about a lot is the fact that, and I'm still a believer in this, even though this is kind of an old school mentality, but the bottom line when it comes to a manager in major leagues, whether they are super, super old school or super, super new school, the most important part is that the players respect and listen to him, or respect him.
Yeah.
Because you could have a guy who doesn't really know what he's talking about, but if the players respect and play hard for him, it goes a long way. Look at Charlie Manuel, for instance. He certainly was not an analytics guy. He did a lot of old school stuff, but the players respected the hell out of him, and they won a World Series with him. So, you look at just the history of baseball. There's been guys who are smart, but didn't get the job done because the players just tuned him out right away. So that's really one of the challenges for Kapler. Because I'm not saying they don't respect him. I don't know how much they respect him right now.
Yeah, and there's a lot of the quotes from anonymous players, he coached every game like it's Game 7 of the World Series. So when it doesn't work, when it's not working and you're losing, you're going to hear it from the players like that. You're going to get that kind of stuff. There were 18-34 to close the season. Frustrations come out.
And, baseball is also, I feel kind of in a weird spot because generally speaking, you get players that are over 30. They still grew up with old school coaches and coaches who did not believe in statistics and analytics and all that kind of stuff compared to the younger generation of guys who did grow up. You have guys in big leagues now who are in their 20s. Their high school coaches were using analytics. So you kind of have almost this divide between young players and old players and old school managers and new school managers. And it's cool, though, because 29 out of the 30 teams have fully embraced analytics, but the Mets are trying to go back to 1947. So how about it?
Yeah. Mets. So the reason why I brought this up, the Phillies obviously do not have a good bullpen. No. They need to make improvements. They need to make some additions. And you think that they should add 2 to 3 pieces to make the bullpen better. So in order to play that analytics game, you need to have a good bullpen. And the Phillies just didn't really have one this past year.
Yeah, again, it's not rocket science. Look at the teams who had success this postseason. They had great fucking bullpens.
Yes.
If I'm the Phillies, my wish list would be to get Harper and or Machado, and then just load up on the bullpen. That's kind of my 1 and 2 bullet point. I mean, obviously there's a million different things they can and possibly should do, and a million different ways they should go. But those are my 2 biggest things. They really, really, really need to improve the bullpen because Kapler is clearly a guy who, generally speaking, wants his pitchers to go through the order twice unless they're really cruising. But if they're generally speaking, he wants the guys, go through twice and then bullpen it together the rest of the game.
Yeah.
That's just modern baseball now. That's just the way it goes. If you don't like it, sorry, watch something else. I mean,
your wish list is kind of similar to mine. So Machado or Harper, the bullpen, and then go get a lefty starter, whether that's Dallas Keuchel or Patrick Corbin.
Yeah, Corbin to me is really, really interesting because he's a guy who has always been highly thought of, but never really put it together until this past year.
Yeah.
I want to say he's 29. So
He is 29.
For a pitcher, he probably kind of sort of just entered his prime. Probably has 2-3 peak years. He's definitely an interesting guy. Keuchel is a guy who has had a lot of success, but also kind of worries me because he doesn't miss bats. And at his age, he's not old either, but I want to say he's 31, give or take.
Yeah, that Cy Young season of 2015 kind of like a little bit of an outlier.
Yeah, we're going to see that again. With that said, that also kind of leads me to Arrieta, which I don't know how much we want to get into that, but if I'm the Phillies, I'm seriously consider trading him because I'm very his last 2 months were not very good, and he just does not miss bats like he used to, and all the signs point to it only getting worse. So he was able to get through the season with smoke and mirrors. I don't know how much he's going to be able to do that going forward. And if you could get anything of value back for him, even though you might have to eat his whole contract, it's something I would seriously consider doing. Same thing with Carlos Santana, mainly because it's not that I don't like Carlos Santana, but ideally you want Hoskins. So if they're able to put a package together, and obviously you're going to eat most of the salary too.
Yeah.
But I think Santana is at least a guy who around the league is respected, and you would get something back for him.
Now, the thing that Ken Rosenthal reported, like a month ago, he'd be a little surprised if Santana's traded because it would be an admission by the Phillies that they never should have signed Santana in the first place. So if they operate like that, then they're idiots. Like you gotta remain humble, man. Like if you made a mistake, own up to it. No need to be stubborn here. Just make the right move and the right decision.
Yeah, if you're worried about getting egg on your face, that's very stupid. Although I will admit, for an organization that, I mean, these guys are humans, they have pride. Rosenthal is absolutely right. That is going to be in the back of their head. So it's a fair point. But like I said, if I'm the Phillies, and I'm able to package those guys, or maybe package one of them with a Cesar Hernandez, or so. There's a lot of different things they could do. Again, depending on who they sign and depending on how they think of these guys. So we'll see. But let me put it this way: there was on Tuesday, Klentak said, again, this was a way of giving him an out in case this offseason is a colossal failure. But he basically said, hypothetically, if we were to put the same team on the field next year, hypothetically, because of the age most of the guys are, and because of how you think most of these guys are going to blossom and get better, hypothetically, you would go from maybe 81 to 86, something along those. He didn't say but he basically said, if we were to put the team back on, we would be better the next year, which in theory is true, but obviously that's not the way you got to go.
I am not liking Klentak and what I'm hearing. There seems to be a lack of confidence on his part.
I think he likes to give himself outs.
He's a bitch.
Yeah, he has a little politician in him. He knows. Yeah, I understand. But I would be shocked, absolutely shocked if they just sit on their hands this one. The opening day roster is gonna look different. It will.
Yeah, we even heard the reports that everybody is available for trade except for Rhys Hoskins and Aaron Nola.
Yeah, and I mean, pretty much should be. Although, in my opinion, there's a couple other guys that certainly wouldn't be untouchable, but that, I mean, I think more highly of than apparently they do.
And who would those guys be? Who are you thinking of?
I don't want to beat it, but J.P. Crawford, like, I think they still have not given that kid a fucking chance. And it's still just like, it seems like they've written him off already. I mean, at the end of the season when Kapler came on Angelo, they asked him what he thought of Kingery, and Kapler said he thinks of him as a shortstop. He backtracked later and said, well, I think, he might end up at second base. But again, never even the mention of J.P. Crawford, who's been the best prospect in the organization and has 250 not even major league at bats. I don't understand it. And like I said, part of my wish list would be him and Kingery being your starting shortstop and second baseman next year.
Yeah.
Consistently, because part of the problem with the defense, I do believe, and this is kind of old school with me, I'm fine with all the changes on the corners every game, but when you have different guys up the middle every game or often enough, that hurts the defense.
And doesn't that hurt the chemistry even on the double play exchanges?
Absolutely. I mean, that's part of what I'm talking about. Yeah, I mean, you need strength up the middle, and that includes the catcher and that includes the center fielder too.
And that leads to another question. Wilson Ramos. So he's coming up. He's had a pair of ACL injuries. Is that somebody you consider bringing back? Because he's got a good bat. He can spray it all around the field.
Listen, if you could get him on a 1 year prove it to me deal, fuck yeah. I mean, he's still a much better offensive player than Alfaro is. And I really don't know if Alfaro is ever going to develop into anything better than a below average major league catcher. I mean, right now, I know there's some metrics out there that actually say he was much better defensively than people think. I don't know. I just offensively, I still struggle to see it. I mean, yeah, when the ball meets the bat, it goes far, but it doesn't meet the bat very often. He doesn't walk. It's very curious for a guy who's a catcher and should know pitching inside and out and know what pitchers are thinking, that every time he goes up there, he just seems to have no idea what's going on. And he's not super young anymore either. I think Alfaro's like 25 or 26. It's not like he's 21 or 22-year-old kid. Yeah. So, but I know we mentioned before with Grandal at the catcher spot and Real Muto at the catcher spot. So yeah, there's a few guys that I would hope they bring in as the number one guy. And you could still give Alfaro 2 or 3 starts a week. I'm fine with that. But him as your everyday guy for a playoff contender, I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's basically it. I mean, we can get into Michael Franco if you want, but we kind of went over trade scenarios already. Anything else? Did I miss anything?
No, I don't think so. I mean, yeah, if guys like Franco and Cesar Hernandez, they probably have no idea where they're going to play next year because they're definitely going to be talked about. Obviously, a lot of it has to do with Machado and Harper and what other directions they go. Yeah, I expect them to be very aggressive, and we'll see how they go. There's so many different directions they could go with this team, so you just need to make it better. Add more time.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. I think that's pretty much going to be it. We're going to end this one. We got a lot more time out of this than I thought we would. So we might have went for like half an hour, bro.
Yeah. Wow.
There you go. Anything else? Anything else on your mind? Is that it? Final thoughts?
Nah. Yeah. I'll keep my mouth shut. I'm good.
I'll keep my mouth shut.
I was about to say a Sixers comment, but
Go for it.
No, because I'm going to sound like every other caller for the past 2 weeks, man. Markelle Fultz needs to fucking shoot the ball. I don't care if he bricks it every goddamn time. He just needs to fucking do it. Okay?
Just shoot the ball.
2 guards on the court who can't shoot, who aren't willing to shoot the goddamn ball. I'm sorry. And I understand he's made progress and he's going to continue to make progress, but Brett Brown is in such a fucking hard spot right now between trying to win games and trying to play him and trying to play those two guys together, and it's not.
Mark Fultz is not very good.
They did not draft him to be a point guard. They did not draft him to run the second team. They did not draft him to be a backup. They drafted him to play with Ben and Joel in the last 6 minutes of a game 7. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to create the best 5 possible. I don't want to hear about Markelle Fultz being a fucking backup or a role player. If he can't shoot, he has no idea what to do without the ball in his hands. Like, completely motherfucking clueless. I've never seen a guy who just stands there and stares.
Yeah. He needs the ball in his hands.
And to me, and I'll be the first one to admit, I totally 100% thought that wouldn't be a problem for him. He would be able to figure out how to play without the ball. Yeah. But I mean, right now I have more confidence in Landry Shamet. At least he knows how to come off a screen and hit a shot and shoot. Like
there are people that are because like I've offended some people with my Fultz comments. I was like, all right, I'll get like last year I was willing to give him until this year. I was excited about the jump shot and how he progressed. And then I'm watching in the first couple games, I'm like, this is the same Markelle Fultz. This is the same guy from last year. Just not confident, lacking it. Key to me, his ceiling is like Lou Williams. And Jason Tatum's ceiling is like Kobe Bryant.
And the shot still does not look good. I mean, handling all off, but the shot. First of all, the shot is still like he looks.
I think it was a myth coming out of college that he had 3-point range. He's a mid-range shooter.
Yeah, but he did shoot 40-some%, and
but college 3-point line isn't like the NBA.
That's true.
A little different.
And I get it. And he's playing the Pac-10. And I get it. But yeah, it's.
I mean, I wanted Fultz. It's not working out.
I wanted Fultz too. Although I don't know.
The people are telling me to keep patient, shit like that. But I don't know. I would think if he's a superstar, we would start seeing some signs by now.
Well,
you think?
Yeah, about being patient. It's like, all right, you could be patient and hope he develops, but it's looking more and more clear that he's not going to be able to play with Ben. So the more you have him out there, are you increasing his value or are you decreasing his value for the trade market? Because right now I feel like that's the main reason they're putting him out there, to showcase him. But the way he looks half the time, it's only making it worse. So, I mean, Brett Brown is in this awful situation of trying to win games, but also trying to develop and play Fultz. Also, at the same time, trying to figure out if him and Ben can ever play together and ever work. And it's just like, I don't know. Like I said to Brendan the other day, he should fucking win the Coach of the Year now, just for what he's had to put up with this first 2 weeks of the year. Like, it's unbelievable.
So, Fultz is a pick and roll player who needs the ball in his hands. And they're not really running a lot of pick and rolls, and they're not really having the ball in his hands. So they're not really playing to his strengths.
It's not complicated rocket science what you need to put around Simmons. You need guys who ideally could run and shoot.
Yes.
Fultz could run. He is a good. I mean, you see the wingspan. You see the herky jerkiness that makes him hard to guard one-on-one. Why people compared him to Harden, but just the outside shooting is just so not even close to being there right now.
I was at the Sixers game on Saturday night, and I was taking video of Markelle Fultz shooting pregame. I was going to put it on Twitter. I did not put it on Twitter because he went 2 for 13 from 3-point line without anybody guarding him. 2 for 13 in practice with nobody guarding him.
And the thing is, it still doesn't look good. Like the release, in my opinion, is still way too low. Like, he's still like an NBA player should shoot the ball from up here. He's still like pushing it. Like the shot. Like, I don't.
I'm worried about it.
I'm lost.
The people are trying to tell me stay patient. Victor Oladipo freaking developed it like later in his career. Look, Victor Oladipo, that's a story you rarely see. Okay, and I know he was a number 2 overall pick, but that's like an exception to the rule. If Markelle Fultz turns out to be Victor Oladipo, oh my God, that'd be outstanding.
Right, and on top of it, I don't think Fultz is the athlete Oladipo is. No.
Yeah, that's true too. And Oladipo has range in his jump shot.
But he has the luxury of being able to have the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
Like that's the biggest thing about this. If Fultz
Brian Colangelo screwed up the process. Totally fucked it up.
Yeah, and the more you hear about it, the more it sounds like people really wanted Tatum in the building, or at least considered Tatum as good as Fultz. And I don't know. I have the tweets to prove I like Tatum. I'm not saying I would have taken him over Fultz.
Yeah. I know Kyle liked Tatum. I'm not going to say I like Tatum because I was – see, with Tatum, I thought like he was a guy that did everything good. I didn't think he did things great. And then NBA happened, and he just like took a huge leap. And I just wasn't expecting. So he proved me wrong.
Yeah, he's like the way the future of the NBA is going. He's 6'9", 6'10".
Yeah.
Hard, very good athletic.
He didn't shoot a lot of 3-pointers. That's why I was like a little hesitant on him. And then he had the range, obviously, in the NBA, so he added that.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, I'm not saying give up on Fultz. I mean, there's really nothing they could do right now other than what they are doing. It's just a bad situation, and it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out.
We'll get you on a Sixers show. That's what we'll do. Get you on some Sixers shows, some Eagles shows. So it's not just Phillies.
All right.
Nobody watches our Philly stuff. Nobody cares about the Phillies. Like, seriously. We only have 8 live viewers right now.
Keisha, where you at?
Joe DeCamera's wondering the same thing.
Yeah. Joe D.
Oh, man.
We should bring on the Hammer. The Hammer would come on our show.
He would. We're friends on Facebook. He Facebook friended me the other day.
Tell him we wear his Batman costume, and I bet he would come on.
I'll bring him on the show. I'll bring him on. We can make that happen. That's who Sean Bryce said here. I remind him of Joe DeCamera because I'm just like an encyclopedia of knowledge. Just like know every little thing about everything.
Fair enough.
I don't think I'm a 40-year-old virgin though.
See, it doesn't work though because I'm not a John Ritchie. I'm not an ex-NFL fullback. But whatever.
The FedQ and Tony D show in the afternoons.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, we're gonna exit now since we're not even talking about the Phillies anymore. We talk about the Sixers and WIP. So now we're just like completely gone bonkers. So we're gonna leave. That's Tony D, Tony Del Grasso. I'm Adrian Fecchio. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our Phillies /Fultz show. See you guys
later.